Fans, welcome to Sports Chat. Folks, this week we've got the LaFollette Middle School coaching staff, including the new head coach, Tony Brawner. Coach, you're new to LaFollette coaching, but you've had head coaching experience on the high school level. You've been around the block coaching, so.
Yeah, I've coached, I started out coaching at Huntsville Middle School. I coached with Coach Profit for 7 years, and then I went, in 2011, I started helping Rodney Ellison. He was the head coach at Wartburg Central High School. And I was his defensive coordinator, and then when he left, I took over the head coaching position there for 3 years.
So you've got the high school level experience, which is a big deal when you're trying to mold the young men into solid football players.
Yeah, we try to teach the proper technique on everything, because when you go to the next level, it'll only help Campbell County if the guys know what they're doing when they get there. So that's our goal, is to have these guys ready to go help the coaches and the team at Campbell County.
As we said, you're new to the job. I think this will be what your basically full week on the job.
Today was actually practice number 9.
So I know you don't have time to identify a lot of people, but if you watched the jamboree or if you saw any highlights, some of your staff puts out highlights of some of the jamboree. Young King looked really good for you out there. Any other players?
Yeah,
really impact for you.
Josh King looked really good. Now Kane looked really good. He was our outside linebacker in our position. He's also one of our running backs and tight end type players. Now he's got some skill, and Chase had an interception, the first interception of the game, and took it down to about the 8 or 9 yard line or something like that.
A very long interception return.
Yeah.
Your defense really did look outstanding. Hard to tell from a jamboree because of the quick nature. You don't play them long, but your offense hit some big plays. I know that had to be encouraging for you.
Yeah, it was, because right now we've got in probably 12 offensive plays is all we've got in. And we've got, on defense, we've got 2 of our defensive fronts in. And Coach King's doing a great job with that. And a lot of his experience is just, he already knows some of the things that I do. So it's really helped a lot.
And a lot of it, I know you do have to scale back a lot, going from high school down to middle school. And like you said, you're teaching fundamentals at this level, and I know you've got a good staff in place to do that. And it's just, if you saw really any improvement from your day 1 even to day 9 right now, and get some game experience in?
Yeah, I think so. I think the guys have really bought in, because we've got, if I added them up right, we've got 21 or 22 8th graders out of the 45 players we're up to now. So if you look at that in a middle school, if you've got 21, 22 players, you're talking about a really mature team.
Now, I'll be honest, it's impressive for LaFollette to have 45 players in general out.
That tells me that you're doing a good job getting out and encouraging participation, which is key to any sport, and especially key to football, because you have so many injuries to deal with. You need as many players as possible.
Oh, definitely, because as we tell the players, just like Butch Jones says, you're one play away from starting. We really and truly, being a starter means a lot to some people, but you're one play away from being a starter if you're behind somebody. So you got to be ready at all times.
Looking ahead a little bit, you've got a game coming up this week, home opener against Midway. What do you know about those guys? Anything at all? Really?
From what I can find out, they're a young team. They've got about 22, 23 players. They run, from what I can find out, they run a little bit of the option, and they run a little bit of spread, and they run a 50 front on the defense most of the time. Now, they will go to a 60 front on some formations, but I guess it would be dictated by what our offense is going to line up.
I didn't notice of you at the jamboree, and I don't know if that's what you'll do the rest of the season or not. I watch a lot of middle school football. It usually is a 5-man, 6-man front. You guys are running a 4-man front a lot of times, and sometimes it even looks sort of like a 3-man front at times.
We are a base 33 stack defense, and which a 33 stack defense, your 2 outside dogs or bandits, as you call them. It depends on the coach on what he calls it, but they're actually linebacker types that can be safety, because they've got to roll with the coverage, and you'll see them at times where Chase and Kane will both be back at safety, but they have to be your two of your best tacklers. Now, King had a great game the other night at Mike linebacker, and he had several hard tackles, and we've got a pretty good front on defense, and we had a couple of guys step up there that didn't get a start because they hadn't been there every day, but when they were in there now, they made some noise.
So it looked like an encouraging showing. You got 18 points up on the board in just a short amount of time. Big key in a lot of middle school guys, seeing hinge on this, is probably getting I know you want to probably improve your goal line, your 2-point conversion type plays and a few things like that.
Yeah, well, like I said, we have, at the time of the Jamboree, we had 8 offensive plays in. And my goal line, since we don't have a kicker right now, it's different than our normal offensive set. And we kind of messed up a couple of times. We ran it, and the play was there. The defense was completely confused. But by the time we snapped the ball, we were confused. So we've got to really polish off some things there to make it work.
I know that's just a matter of getting more and more practice time in, which you all are starting to be able to do well throughout the season. I'll just ask you one more question here about that. I essentially never see anybody kicking in middle school, but I've always thought that'd be a great advantage if you had someone who can, because 2-point conversions do fail a lot of the time.
Yeah, right. And there's some schools that you'll run into that traditionally has a good kick in middle school. For years and years, CAK's had good kickers in their middle school, teams like that. But traditionally, your county schools and stuff like that, they just don't take the time to get the kids ready, because you really don't have time to do a lot of things. You just have to kind of shave off where you can, because the attention span for middle schoolers is a lot less than high school.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, when I coached at Jacksboro, my last year there, Sean Jesse did put in an extra point squad, and it never really panned out to kick the extra point. We practiced it with them, and like you said, it's kind of an attention span thing. It was hard to get a kicker into that mindset.
Yeah.
I'd say that. I feel like it'd be an effective tool, because I see so many 2-pointers fail over the course of the game. I'm watching a lot of it. So if you all can get that going, I think that'd be a big advantage for you. It's interesting to hear you have that strategy. Maybe looking for one at some point.
Yeah, I would love to have a soccer style kicker. You know, most of your straight on kickers in middle school, they kick straight on because they're not really trained a lot younger, you know, in 5th, 6th grade age, to kick soccer style. But now you get one of your soccer players that's played soccer his whole life, and he can, you know, but I haven't been able to find one yet. But I'm looking.
Yeah, that's what you got to look. I mean, I was very impressed. I mean, we're coming to practices a lot before you were hired, and participation seemed to be between 20 and 25 a lot of times. And the fact that you're up to 45 players now, I mean, that tells me a lot about you as a person, apparently, and the impact you're already making on the kids in the county. And that's just something that LaFollette Middle School especially really needs. I'm glad to see that.
Well, I appreciate that. These LaFollette Middle School, as big as the enrollment is,
No.
should roll out 65 players. I tell my players every day at the end of the day, this team's goal is to roll out 20% of the boy population in that school. So if you think you've got 500 kids in that school, if 250 of them, half of them's boys, then if you run 20%, that's 50 boys.
No.
And you can be consistent. If you run 50 boys, I mean, there's teams in the district that they're consistently at the top of their game because they have 50, 55, 60 players.
I feel that that'll be, you know, work out for a big advantage. And something LaFollette tradition has not had that often, as Patrick pointed out, is that participation. And I'm really glad to see it happen. It's LaFollette, it's been well coached in the past, and the players go to Campbell County and can make immediate impact. And I know with your teaching the fundamentals, technique, that's probably going to continue on over the next few years coming down the pike.
Well, that's the goal. I mean, any time in middle school, your number one goal should be to get your players ready for your high school, because the high school is the crown and jewel. You know, a lot of kids don't go anywhere past high school, so those 4 years right there, if we can get them ready and they can be 10 weeks more advanced than than they were coming in, then the coaches at Campbell County will have kids that they can just plug in and go.
I'll say this too, is one of the final things for this segment with you. I noticed in the Jamboree, your kids looked like they were having a lot of fun out there at the Jamboree. And a lot of fun playing the game of football. They were excited and happy on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Well, they were excited during the skill competition too, where you had 2 big wins.
Well, we did. Now, I'll tell you what, I've never really had skill kids that I have now. Because you walk in with 21 8th graders, and especially with 2 linemen, that's the fastest lineman in the county, and beyond. And you got your 2 backs is the fastest and the second fastest, and they're the fastest in the area. So you're talking about, in middle school, that can be a very, very successful combination.
I mean, I've witnessed almost individuals win middle school games before because they're that dominant.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get that one guy that's above and beyond below that. And we saw it, actually it's a little bit against you, is their number 87, I can't remember his name.
Linderman.
He was something else. I mean, if you could see this scrimmage, any of y'all watching, or the Jamboree, pardon me, they had a guy who, I guess he went 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1", like he's about 230 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was really tough to handle. And you get a guy like that, and they can make a huge impact. I mean, we even saw it at the high school level here years ago when Chris Johnson played at the high school. He was so much better than everybody else playing around him that he made a Campbell County team that wasn't probably going to be that good otherwise into a playoff team.
Right. Yeah.
And you get those guys like the King and people you mentioned, and they're just so explosive and dynamic. It just makes, I guess, it makes your life a little easier to have that kind of option.
Yeah. You know, with just the 10-12% of the offensive playbook in, and you've got somebody like Josh King that if you give it to him, if you don't tackle him at the line of scrimmage, he's gone. I mean, that young man has got some speed. And then you got 2 linemen blocking for him that we race all the time in practice and stuff now. Josh barely beats him in a 40-yard dash.
That's
When
really
you got 2
something.
6-foot tackles that can run, I mean, you know, that's a pretty good system right
Yeah,
there.
I mean, we've watched it for years come through here, and the fact that Oneida had those big guys like that can get up and down the field, and it made them into a powerful team. So I mean, it sounds like you've got a really good foundation in place, and it's just a matter of spending time with them, teaching them. I know you don't have that much luxury because you have a game Thursday night, and every Thursday night after, for the most part, and so I know you got to be working hard at practice. But thank you for coming down, taking the time to come be on with us, and
Anytime.
we're going to bring some of your other coaches on, starting with Jacob here. So.
Okay.
Coach, we appreciate you.
All right, well, thank you all. All right, guys, I appreciate it. I'm gonna head towards Scott. Take care of Tam. See you, boys.
See you, Coach.
And we're here now with LaFollette offensive line coach, and you coach the defensive line as well.
Yes.
All the linemen. It's Jacob Burnett. Jacob, how you liking life under the new coach? He seems like a great guy, great coach.
Well, yeah, I really respect him very much so, and I've only known him for about 2 weeks, but like everything that he does and like says to these kids is just, it brings a very positive, just like I bet that whenever they go to the middle school, they're like talking so many great things about the football team because they're buying into what Coach Brawner is talking to them about, and I think that's great.
Obviously, as we spoke with him just a second ago, I mean, we come to your practice, you had 20, 25, maybe 30 players on the most crowded days.
Which is partly the symptom of having no head
I
coach.
mean, you're up in the mid-40s now. It seems like your players apparently are spreading the word around school. It's fun. This guy's good to play for. He's a good coach. And I know you guys work hard with him, and you, Anthony, and Coach King,
Yates, Tony.
Yates, you've all done well keeping the program in the shape that it was going towards. And you've got this game coming up Thursday. How do you think your line's going to perform Thursday?
Well, we've been working very hard trying to, like, there's been some confusion with the plays, but it's all about getting into Coach Brawner's, to his system of football. And once they get past that, I mean, it's just second nature for them. Like, you tell them to go right and they'll go right. And they're just going into every practice with a positive attitude, and because of that, they're able to get the plays down.
Well, that's very, very good to hear. And so you had a good performance in the Jamboree. What are you looking to build off of and get your line to play even better than it did in Jamboree?
I would have to say it's just, going down to the basic things like getting their technique down and really perfecting it, and making sure that, there's no room for error basically. And again, just making sure that we're getting all the plays down, and that making sure that just honestly that we go down to the basics and we make sure we don't forget those things and how crucial it is to get it.
And I'll ask you this as well. I mean, Coach Brawner, I didn't ask him because he wasn't there before. But this influx of new players, how many of these guys that you know of have played football for the fall before, the 8th graders and the guys you get to play? Did they play last year and maybe weren't going to play, or are these people that's completely new?
Right now with our 5 offensive linemen, they are returning, but we have the second string. There's a lot of some incoming 8th graders, and they never played football before, and they're getting better every day, and it almost looks like they've been here since they were 6th graders.
And before you didn't have so much as second string, you had a couple extra linemen, so that's a good luxury to have.
Before Coach Brawner came there, we only had we only had 9 offensive linemen, which isn't even a full 2 strings, but now we have 4 lines.
How many of your guys are going to play both ways most of the time on Thursday nights?
We're usually looking at probably for offensive and defensive line to probably be Ben Conrad and Skylar News, which our guys are going to be at the ends.
Well, I mean, if that's the only crossover you have, that's a really good sign that your team does have depth and does have a quality depth. And how are they looking strength-wise? I know you work with them strength conditioning and everything up there.
They've improved a lot, mostly with, like, the most crucial thing for a lineman is their upper body strength, and that I have them being able to be not just strong but also athletic, and we really stress that and help them get stronger, faster, and just be able to be smart with what they're doing, we're not just telling them to do one thing, but we're explaining to them why they're doing that. And being able to do that is that they're getting really strong mentally and physically.
I said, good luck to you then the rest of the season, Jacob, and starting with the big game Thursday night. I mean, I'm really excited for fall football. I think a lot of people will when they see the product you guys put on the field. And I know you've all worked really hard over the summer to keep things together. It looks like it's going to come together, and looks like we have a really nice season coming in. So, this is Jacob Burnett. We're going to bring Anthony Ayers on now. Well, here's one of the luckiest coaches in the county to get to coach all that skilled talent that Coach Brawner was just talking about, all the speed, all the weapons that you have in your offensive system. So, how are those guys looking right now, do you think, Anthony?
The entire skill set, the skill positions completely. Right now, I feel like the ones that I do have out there that have been there, they're experienced, they know what to do. There's just little things I need to work on, like blocking assignments, knowing who you need to block, because they'll always go out there and they'll block somebody, but they're just getting confused on which person to block. There's no effort lost there.
That's just a matter of learning, and it's you have new players coming in, and you've got the guys who are coming back, but still they're middle school kids, and their football IQ isn't as high as it will be, at the end of this season and as they progress through high school. And that's just something you have to work around. But your guys look really good. Like I say, you got 18 points up on the board in just a short period of work. And I'll ask you what I asked Coach Brawner. How are you going to improve getting those 2-point conversions scored? Because they can become crucial throughout the season.
Well, the 2-point conversion, that formation that we use for it, there is multiple different plays we can run out of that. And once we see how that defense lines up against it once, we will destroy it with that.
And it did look like it caused a lot of confusion among Horace Maynard's defense.
Yeah, we just didn't have many practices in that formation before we had ran that. because we was too busy installing. all
And
the
let's
other
be honest, you
offense.
don't want to show too much in a jamboree.
No, not at all.
How's practicing going under Coach Brawner now and running his system?
The first day, I'm going to be honest with you, that half the kids were scared because it was just a big change. They were not used to it. But as time went along, Coach Brawner started getting their trust, gaining their trust. And now all the kids are buying in. They're loving what's going on up there. And they're starting to feel like they're being treated more professional than this program ever has been.
Well, I'll say this, I mean, Patrick, I'm sure, knows more than me about who's coached where. The middle school programs have been in place since the mid-'80s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that they've ever hired somebody with that much high school coaching experience at any of the middle schools in Jellicoe, La Follette, or Jacksonville.
No,
I mean, they've hired some assistant coaches from high school ranks and a few other coaches like that.
I don't think, you would have to go back to the junior high days to see that kind of coaching hire.
So, I mean, he's used to
Like the
organizing.
early '80s, late '70s.
And I knew that, so that his experience and resume is just one of the best I've seen for any coach coming in. And I know as a young coach, your goal is to get better as a coach as well and learn. And it seems like you've got a good guy to learn stuff from.
My football knowledge, I'm going to be honest, when I first started out with him, I thought my football knowledge was like right here. Then he came along and knocked it up to right there just because he knows so much, like over my head stuff that I didn't even know.
You know, I mean, it's good to get to work with a veteran coach, and see he's coached at the high school level, he's coached at the middle school level.
He coached at the middle school level enough where he's familiar with every team in the region. Because, I mean, Huntsville plays pretty much every team you'll be seeing.
That's true.
I'll ask you here, we're over in the stands Thursday night, and you're a La Follette football fan, and your offense is on the field. What numbers do these people need to keep an eye on to watch some exciting football happen right up?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Our quarterback at the moment has been sick for the past 2 days. So we either got plan A or plan C. There's no plan B in there right now, honestly. But if we go with plan A and he's healthy for the game, we're going to be, you need to watch number 13, Christian Tinch, number 5, Karan, and then you got Kane at number 6, and McKyle at number 3. And those are the main ones you need to watch out for. Also, we had a new kid come out there. He goes to Wynn Middle School, and you know, if you go to a school that doesn't have a football program,
They can come play.
anywhere they want.
Yeah, although if you could have technically have somebody from the Christian Academy come down
Exactly.
too.
So Anthony Branham's little brother, he played at the high school.
I coached Anthony when he was in middle school.
Big stud. His brother joined, and the first day he joined, I was like, "What's your brother's name?" He goes, "Anthony." I go, "Okay, get in there." And he showed out. He needs to learn the offense a little bit more, but he's an athlete. So if he's there and healthy, Tinch is there and healthy, we're all gonna have a full cast out there. And if he's not healthy, like I said, plan C, Karan Williams, watch him all day, along with Josh King.
I watching some of those guys play, just the speed they have, the athletic ability. And I know with you coaching and Coach Burnett and Coach Yates and Head Coach Brawner and Coach King out there coaching these guys, they're going to take that athletic ability and turn it into skilled football players that know what to do, where to be, where to go. And you'll see a good team out there Thursday night, fans. But if you are in late September on a Thursday night, you're going to see a really great team out there, I believe.
Yes, we're just aiming for the top right now.
Right, and of course, the good thing is that shoots you in a perfect position once the playoff starts.
Exactly. We really, honestly and truly believe that this is a good team this year.
I mean, I don't see any reason why it won't be. I mean, you got the participation up now. You got players that you have to learn, but you know, you throw them in the fire, and you got a veteran head coach that has probably seen every situation. You got young guys out there that can effectively communicate with the kids. So it seems like a perfect storm might be coming up for the fall this year, and could look at for a big season out of the Owls. That's what I'm expecting.
I'm ready for it.
Well, fans, we thank you. We have to go cover some soccer now. I want to thank all the coaches from the fall for being here, and we will see you all next week.